The new year, how to start the new by getting rid of the old. Been married for 3 years, and we have a 2-year-old. Long story short, in the past 2 years her brother passed, grandmother passed, and father passed 2 weeks ago. Before she left, she was loving, and we both agreed we were the closest we have ever been. We have had our bad moments, but overall, she was emailing and texting me at work daily how much she loves me, etc. We always agreed to not be apart for more than 2 weeks, but when she went home to see her passing dad it changed. It went from 2 weeks to 3 weeks to 4 weeks to after Easter. So, she should be back with my son April 2nd. Each time she delayed her trip longer it was an argument between us. Maybe I should have been more caring and understanding, but at the same time I was worried about outside influences having a negative effect on her as well. Sister-in-law, mom, friends. So, last week she said she was going to change her ticket to be home on Easter with me. Then the following day when I asked if she changed it, she just said things like, "Oh, it is a hassle to call." I only said I was thinking about changing it. This led to another argument, as not so much about her staying there for Easter, but more or less how she says one thing then basically acts like she never said it. So, we became closer again, and then she just tells me she is confused, feels empty, does not miss me, not sure if she loves me. I asked if she is still coming back on April 2nd, and I cannot get a direct answer. She just says, I have no answers about anything. She told me she needs romance, which we have not had. She needs more love and respect. I told her I agree, but things have been tough with a new baby, passing in her family, moving. I told her to remember how she felt before she left and sent her the emails. If there is another delay, to be honest I am not sure what to do. So, at this point do not really know what to do, can't really eat all day, can't think, and feel it is best not to contact her. She knows I miss her and my son greatly, but I do not know if she is actually going to come back. Should I just play it cool and give her time? Let her contact me. I do not have all of her passwords or email accounts. She changed the chip in her phone while in the other country, so I do not see that doing much good. Could this possibly be her just wanting me to miss her and appreciate her more? She is seriously considering kidnapping my kid and not returning. She left all of her clothes here and only took a suitcase. She is staying with her sis-in-law, her 3 kids, and she also has her mom, my son. So she always has a lot of people and company around. She did say she was weary about coming back before, as it is just me and her, and she needs her family now for support, saying she would be lonely. This also upset me, as we have a family together. What about my loneliness? My entire family is gone. It seems the nicer I have been the more she pulls away. And yes, I was a jerk in ways before she left, as I hate her leaving and she knows it. I did understand she wanted to see her dad before he passes. She told me she needs to be loved by me, more romance, more patience, etc. In my opinion, this space is killing our relationship, as resentment is building on my side, and we have had horrible conversations recently. This morning she said she loved me and will leave the house for the first time in days to go for a walk and clear her head. Haven't talked to her all day, and that has been the longest we went without talking since we met. Never went to therapy for anything. The positives I see are, as she left because her dad passed, not because we were in a bad place. We are actually in a great place when she left. B, she has no income or money to stay, and things are expensive there. C, other man, of course, nobody knows, but as I said we were in a great place before she left. And I always have known where she is. Was at hospital with dad, home with mom, home with sis-in-law. She is not the partying type, and to be honest can't imagine her jumping into a relationship 1 week after her dad passed while she is with my 2-year-old son who never left her sight since he was born. The negatives, I said she did not miss me, not sure if she loves me, will be lonely when she comes back. In a way much of this sounds really immature to me. She says we did not have enough romance, but in between her brother's cancer and dad's cancer and raising a baby with 3 times the bills, it was not a great breeding ground for romance, with me consoling her nightly while she is crying about the passing in her family. She also seems to have no concern over me missing my son. It all seems to be about her at this point. I was thinking of sending her a nice note or email, but can't really put up with hearing she is confused anymore, so I am thinking I will not contact her tonight. I cannot even really think of accusing her of cheating at this time, especially in front of her mom, nieces and nephews that she helped raise our 2-year-old son, right after her dad passed. I understand that someone who was cheated on could always say yes, but it happens. How do you know? But I just really doubt it in this case. I think she was pretty mad at me for arguing with her during this time, but I think she is over that already. I think she enjoys being around a lot of family members, as opposed to being home alone while I work with our son. She is there with our son, and everyone loves him, which gives her a lot of attention too. The reason I didn't want her to stay so long. She went twice before, and the first 2 weeks she hates it there, then gets used to it. Then when she comes back home, she has to readjust to life here all over again. Sort of sad, depressed, emotional, and it affects our family life until she readjusts and we can have good times again. So, what gives me lots of resentment? When I met her, she had a tiny apartment, was single, working 60 hours a week teaching to barely pay bills. No kid, etc. She wasn't getting along that great with her family. Most of her friends were married. And life was not that awesome back home. We dated long distance, got married, had a beautiful son, and I paid for every single thing since we married. Sure, it is just money, but every dime I earned involves work, stress. And I shared it with her. Her life became meaningful and several times better from where she was. Her financial stresses ended. She wanted nothing more than to have a family. I then also listened and consoled for 2 years. Most of our marriage about her family illnesses. Not easy for me either to deal with it. Her mom would call daily to embellish and give her the worst news possible. And I watched my wife cry, and before she left, she was telling me how we need to be together forever. We are closer than ever. Everything is getting better, and now, she can go back to Brazil as a married woman, nice things, beautiful son, and enjoy all of the attention. And what does she tell me as I am working every day, worrying, feeling sick? I need more romance. I am not sure if I miss you. I am trying to remember the good times. I am not sure if I love you. It is like she is only capable of living in the exact moment, and not showing me the respect, gratitude, commitment that I deserve. Sure, it is great fun to go on a vacation, but is that real life? And you cannot realize where you were before you met me. And I also flip this around and wonder how she would feel if I took our son to Europe and started playing these games. Honey, I am not sure if I miss you, not sure when I am coming back exactly. I am trying to be understanding of all the passing she had to endure, but it is difficult to remain calm and understanding when I think of it in different ways. Well, things took a turn for the worse. On Thursday she told me she is coming back Monday. We made small talk all day. I told her I was buying our son a gift to give him at the airport, etc. Then Thursday night she just said she has anxiety about us fighting and is not coming back yet, which led to another argument. I tried to tell myself to remain calm, and I wasn't yelling or anything, but more or less was giving an ultimatum. She asked me Friday how work was, and I told her I had to hire someone for the website we have. She found out it was a girl. And then she was mad all day. I do not see why. The last web designer I had was a girl as well. She is still mad about that. She brought it to the level of you brought a girl into our bed. The girl I hired works remotely and doesn't even know where I live, but my wife is really upset. The only other info I can give is that she had a lot of anxiety to fly back home to see her dad and did not want to go. Now she has anxiety to come back. At this point she still did not change her ticket but told me verbally she will stay longer. To be honest, it makes me feel much better inside as well. All I know is that explaining, telling her I miss her and my son, asking her to reconsider just has the opposite effect. She then becomes further entrenched in her not returning mode. I am so emotionally drained from this that going dark should not be that difficult. I think for the past couple of weeks I was contacting her far more often. And then when I stopped for a day she started asking, how was your day yesterday? How are you feeling? What did you do? Where did you go? What did you eat? How are you feeling again? Then there was less confusion about when she was returning. Now for the past 2 days she is saying go duck yourself, which led me to explain again and again I am not that great at web development and needed some help as the other web person found a different job. Nothing on earth is happening, but she still seems mad. So, I am not sure what to make of that. If I had to guess, this is how I would sum up the situation. She is actually confused about us. She is not a long-term thinker and acts more based on immediate emotions. She is for some reason bringing up silly arguments we had 2 years ago. She seems to have forgotten all of the good times. Once again, when she left everything was great. She did not leave the country to leave me, but to see her dad one more time. She hates conflict, and that is all we have been doing. Now that she is there, she is enjoying the attention she is getting. We also have a very beautiful blonde-haired, blue-eyed baby that she loves to show off. See, her life with me is basically me, her, and our son. She has friends, but some moved, some lived further away, etc. I go to work and she is lonelier with just our son. Back home she is with her sister-in-law, 3 nephews that are adults now who she basically raised, her mom, and tons of aunts, uncles, cousins, godmother, etc. They all lavish attention on our son and she enjoys it. Always lots of gossip, people coming and going, etc. I go through phases of thinking that sometimes change by the hour. Angry she seems to be playing this game and I am alone. Sympathy as her dad just passed. A lack of trust as she changed her date of return several times. Worry as there is a possibility she might not return and I will not see my son. Especially after reading this forum, thoughts there might be someone else. Thoughts of divorce on my end, thoughts of understanding, just completely lost. Well, I paid for her to go in November, and they just paid again for her to go in February. It is not exactly cheap. I barely could afford to send her this last time. I emptied out our savings for her to go. Then I returned some things I purchased to cover the rent, utilities, etc. I own a seasonal business, and I finally had work to do to dig out of the hole we found ourselves in. I was also irritated because I was always the one asking about her father's condition. And I asked her to call the doctor there, and she would not. She was just getting info from her mom, and her mom is always overly dramatic, so nobody trusts her. So, I was the guy saying no to what she wanted to do, as I was being extra cautious to put money aside so she could go without even telling her. All of our conflict has been over these changing dates. I did speak to her nephew, who is 20 and who lives in the house with her now. And I asked how she is doing, what she is doing, etc. He said he had no idea anything was wrong and is sure she is returning. He said she always says great things about me and she never goes anywhere without our son and his mom. He said she has been crying a lot and is very shaken by the passing of her father. Well, been going a little dark, and she messaged me last night saying she has never been this sad in her life. And I just said I know. It sucks, have a good night. Then this morning she messaged me saying she has been crying all morning. I asked why, and she said, forget it. Instead of crying, I just said okay. Then a few hours later she messages me asking what I am doing, where am I, with who? And I just said hanging out. I am fine, you don't need to check up on me. She said okay, and that has been it for the past few hours. I am not contacting her and just keeping it short. Tables seem to be turning a bit, but who knows what is going on. I don't even know how she is feeling. Is she in pain, mourning? Is there someone else? I was really hurt when within one day she said she was returning, then did a 180 and said she is not. I was nice, kind, caring all day, said I was excited to see her. And then she said, we need to talk, I am not coming. She knows she can talk to me about her dad anytime. We have been for years. At this point I feel toyed with. I am coming back before Easter. The day after. Not coming back, not sure if I am in love. Not sure about anything. It just makes me feel a little better to detach a bit. I really do not know what else to do. She has hurt me a lot. It's abusive, just to mention keeping the child overseas, whether mad at the moment of not. Maybe she needs some time to sit and think instead of arguing with me. Wow, just found a lot of info out. I talked to her nephew. My wife does not know we talk, and he told me my wife changed her ticket to April 9th. To make things worse, her mom, who is crazy, controlling, and the most selfish woman on earth, has been trying to convince my wife to stay so that she is not alone. She has even been trying to find a job for her, and now my wife is staying with her again. It's like I have been living in a fog. What I know of her mom: broke up my wife's first marriage when she was 22, tried to break up her son's marriage for years, even though he has 3 kids. She still hates his wife. And now I found out she is getting job applications for my wife and asking her to move in with her. That is why my wife started acting so strange, so confused. Her mom has been putting things in her head daily. My wife was never confused before. Now her mom is alone after 50 years of marriage, so is making my wife feel like she must stay. And my wife seems to be going along with it. I have been talking to her family, not her mom, and they are all calling me and trying to help convince her to return. They all say she is just confused and they have never seen her like this. They do not understand. A married couple that she has been friends with her for her entire life is having lunch with her tomorrow to give me more insight into the situation and trying to guide her. As for my correspondence with my wife, she messages me all day to see what I am up to. But when the conversation turns to asking what is going on, she shuts down. She just tells me she has not eaten, feels sick, throws up all day and cries all day. Which is what her family has told me as well. She said she needs 1 more week to get her head straight. And my wife knows her mom is toxic. She has told me thousands of times. Even after hearing all the stories, I always had a fear of her mom manipulating my wife. And my wife succumbing. I never feared my wife cheating but feared her mom. I can't be too concerned. During this entire 5 weeks they only spoke for 3 because her mom said horrible things to her and kicked my wife out. I am hoping the spark will return as soon as I see my wife. That is my big hope. And when she sees my son and I together, I can't imagine she will not be very emotional. The other thing I notice, more than ever after this last trip and staying with her family, are cultural differences. People not keeping their word, and just saying things that sound good at the moment. An example could be 3 different people offering to drive us to the airport, but then they just change their mind and not even tell you if you actually accept the offer. Every day is like that with every little thing. B. Less structure. No bedtimes, no mealtimes, just a bunch of people doing what they feel like, when they want. C. Less serious conversations. It is more about putting problems off and trying to feel good at the moment. D. Nobody really works. It is beach, have company at night, gossip. I could see why my wife is comfy there, in a way, for the time being. Just gossip. Everyone fawning over our son, lots of family and people around, etc. But the reality is that families like her cis-in-laws always have a benefactor. Usually a rich father. That foots the bill. Everything is so expensive there that if you are not wealthy, it is a miserable existence. At this point, all she does is pick on my every move, state there is no turning back, wants a divorce, and does not want counseling. We have not slept in the same bed for the first time last night, except of course when she was gone. It is her first day back, and usually she is different, but never this much different. She did not leave the house. I worked, went shopping, took my son out, and she just laid around in her pajamas, being pissed about everything I did. Something was messy, I forgot to buy a certain grocery, etc. My plan is to try and be patient, and hopefully she will readjust to her life here again within a couple weeks, find a job which she claims to want now, and see how things go. Her ideas just seem crazy to me, that she thinks I would accept. Grand plans of her working for an airline somehow, being able to get me buddy passes, so that when she lives in Brazil, I can fly for free to see my son. And she is thinking that is acceptable. Rio is now one of the most expensive cities in the world, so the entire plan seems ridiculous. She has a hard time just being a stay-at-home mom now, and wants to put the kid in daycare here. Yet she will go from this to being a single mom, working 50 hours a week, raising our son, zero free time, no extra money, and completely struggling. Rent has skyrocketed in Rio, and she could forget about ever owning a car. New clothes, etc. The tariffs are outrageous. The kid would need private school. You either must be rich or you will live a very poor lifestyle in a more dangerous area. She had a hard time living on her own in Brazil, so her entire plan seems ridiculous. Just before she came, she wanted to work things out. Now here she said she is seeking a job, wants me to pay for daycare so she can save her money and move to Brazil with my son, while I support her for a few months in the meantime. And when I said this is crazy, she said I am selfish and only think of myself. And also, in her plan is that once she is in Brazil, I will send her 1,000 a month for a son she basically kidnapped and I will see twice a year. She said she will also come see me with him and I can pay for her flights and hotel for 2 months while I see him here. I am not sure if I am crazy, or my wife's ideas are just plain crazy. She is sulking, walking around pissed, sad, mad, and will not acknowledge me. Her plan, as she stated, was to move to Brazil with my son, with no money. Start by just sleeping on the floor at her cis-in-laws, then find a job, then find an apartment, then have me send money and be totally happy that I will not see my son anymore. She does not think ahead that they will need food, clothes, a car, all the bills, school for my son. Does she think I would allow my son to be in this situation? How can she view my son as not belonging to me at all? Just 100% her son. I know I need to focus on myself, but I wonder if any other man had a wife or ex that viewed things in this manner. So, I get home from work and she has a new plan. She wants to reconcile with me, on the condition I give her the passport and sign a paper that my son can travel in the future with her back home to see family. Not a legal paper, but something me and her draw up and take to a notary. She has a job interview today, and quickly her tone changed about working. She wants to see and care for our son every day instead of daycare. Says the money will not be much more, and just wants an allowance from me. I think she realizes now how good she had it, which is what we went through before. She claims I prevent her from working, but in the end, she never really wants to give up being a stay-at-home mom. I suggested she still go to the interview as the job is in fashion that she likes, and there is no way I am handing her the passport. At this point, not sure if it is genuine or a trick to get the passport. Regardless, I do not feel good about it yet, and am not giving it to her. Anyway, as long as the passport is secure, and it is, my son will be safe with me. If she wanted to leave by herself, the door is open anytime. The strange thing is this: when most women throw these ideas around, it seems they are serious. As for my wife, I am sure she is serious at the moment, but it just depends which moment. Does she really want a divorce and be a working single mom? Does she really hate me this much as she says? I am perplexed myself. Does she want to work, watch the kid, actually, work and live in Brazil? I have no real idea. Sometime later, things have gotten better. She gave up trying to go to Brazil and we have been closer to being a couple again. She still sleeps in the other room, however. We had a good day Sunday, actually were kissing, until she just flipped out and went off on me for not parking close enough to our door. Says I parked too close to a wall, and was not helping her remove the child from our car. After I took her out for breakfast and dinner, and then spent 4 hours at the mall, this was extremely annoying. So we did not talk the rest of the night again. And she says, see, we always fight. She goes out of her way to make things difficult, then says, see, you aren't helping. An example could be getting out of the car, her taking our son, and then filling both hands with packages and struggling. In these situations, my hands are already full and she knows I would just make another trip to the car. But she has to do the poor me, you do not help. Look, I need help seemingly on purpose just to start drama. So good news, my wife got a job as a preschool teacher. And my son will attend the school for free. She is very happy at this time. My question is this: how do men deal with the things women say when some things are hurtful? Let me give an example. So, she texted me after getting the job and said now she will have money to spoil me, our son. Money to buy her own things. That was nice to hear. She was thinking of lots of things she likes to buy in her excitement as well. Trips, vacations, etc. But then she says this in the same sentence. Not sure if she was really even thinking. And I would love to spend my birthday in Brazil with my family. So, this bothered me on a few levels. 1. Once again, will split us up. 2. Wanting to spend a day like that without me obviously hurts my feelings a bit. 3. The child issue. Will it be another fight for him to stay or go? 4. Once again, fixated on going back home already. And I do not want to hear this daily. So how is this handled? In the past I would tell her my objections, tell her she is being selfish. Explain this is now our family. I would twist it and say something like, how would you feel if my birthday plan was to leave you alone and head back home, etc. These things always led to a fight. This time I just ignored it completely, but it bothered me when I was at work the next day. It seems we will never have peace. As my wife is more religious, spiritual, I guess what she did was give up things she likes for 3 weeks, and her request from God was to have things back the way they were before with us. So she had no coffee, Diet Coke, dessert, and that is why she was sleeping on the floor. So now, things are back to normal. She put her ring back on, is sleeping in bed with me again, really likes her job, and we are together again as we were in the past. She has really changed a lot, her smile and laugh are back, etc. Now, she talked to an aunt, and it turns out her mom is going to need a pacemaker, or some sort of heart surgery. So, for first it was her grandma, then her brother, then her dad, now her mom. My wife does not fully know how much of this is real, but again yesterday she cried, envisioning her mom dying or being very sick. I hope my wife does not slip back into this depression again. A year later, the good news is that I got my son back to the States and things for a year have been decent. Last month my wife went to Brazil for a week, this time alone. Her reasoning was that she needed to see a dentist and friends. When I would ask who, or say it is ridiculous to spend $3,000 to see a dentist, she would get mad, angry, yell, scream, call names, etc. She has been working part-time to save for her ticket. I had to pay $500 for a sitter. So now she is back and I am going through hell. All she talks about is divorce, won't sleep in the same bed, won't talk to me, etc. So, 2 days ago she seems to have calmed down and said we should live together as roommates. Of course, I still pay all the bills, car lease, rent on a nice home, etc. But now she says she started a new business in which she brings items to Brazil to sell. She is leaving in 2 weeks, again alone, and she told me I should take off work, my business that pays very bill, or pay for a sitter. All the money she claims she will make will be hers so she can move out and get her place at a later date. I am so fed up but lost, don't know what to do. Divorce and see my kids sparingly, not renew the lease and not have a home. I only have 5 days to decide. Just feel sick. I have no idea if she is having an affair. It is very possible. Somebody is influencing her. Could also be her mom. I have only put up with this hoping she would come back to reality for the sake of our son. I can't believe she is just willing to leave her son behind and now just say she is leaving anytime to bring goods to Brazil. I have my son's passport. No way will I let her have it. She says she wants divorce so that my son can visit Brazil and that a judge will allow her. At this point she is so unstable it is hard to keep the peace at home for my son as she does not even care, only thinking about herself. She works part-time and all the bills are in my name, so I have to keep paying them. Not sure how to cut off her money. Talked to 2 lawyers today and both said no judge will allow her to take my son out of the country, as he is only 3, and due to the past, a custody case will be $20,000 to $30,000. They suggested I let her go to Brazil alone, as this is good proof for me that she just leaves. Now the problem with speaking to lawyers is, of course, they will say anything to get your business. Nobody is going to pick a lawyer who tells him bad news from the beginning. So, when everyone says ask a lawyer, nobody knows what is true until the final judgment. The hard part for me is that my son loves our house, and it was so much work and effort to make it the way we like. After talking to more lawyers, they all seem very confident I could get primary custody, or at the very least no judge would grant her full custody considering what she did before. My son would not be able to travel as long as I do not sign. I also talked to a friend who used to work for me, also married to a Brazilian. I think it must be the culture as our stories are identical. He is stick for similar reasons. They also said that alimony before 7 years is rarely granted unless a guy is making huge sums of money. $300,000 for example. Half a year later, I am finally at peace. Almost. We had a temp hearing, are now mediating, and the end is near. Basically, what happened is that my wife went on vacation to her home country. Met a man, knew him for a week, came back and requested divorce. He sent her money for an apartment, lawyer, and furniture. About $25,000. We have a 3-year-old son. She drops my son off on my days and wants to hug me, smiles at me, acts like nothing ever happened. She never admitted to cheating, never apologized, nothing at all. If I am more or less short, this offends her. She cries, gets mad, comments. You want her to validate your emotions and reasoning. That this is wrong. You want her to see this from your viewpoint. Not going to happen. You can't control her, and you can't make her feel the way you want, so you get frustrated. That is why you need to let go. This anger and frustration aren't doing you any good. OP responds, feels so much better with letting go. Ignoring her messages. This morning she texted me that she went to church and will pray for all of us. Not sure what that means but didn't reply. Then a few hours later she texted me telling me not to tell my son to keep secrets from her as she asked how his weekend was and he replied can't tell. It's a secret. And she ends the text with sorry for bothering you. Now in the past I would have immediately replied telling her how ridiculous she is for accusing me of that. Today I just didn't reply to anything as I see what she is doing more clearly. Either trying to get a response by being nice or trying to get a response by accusing me of something. Then I am drawn into some illogical and circular argument that just irritates me. During the past couple of months, I brought this up and her reply has always been I never cheated. We were separated, which I have a hard time forgetting she ever said. Really upsets me. To keep this affair going she lied about everything this past year. I had to open her mail to see this man wired her $30,000 for an apartment. Attorney etc. I also specifically remember we were together on Mother's Day. We were sleeping together in May. Never did we have any discussion of a separation. My issue is that I have to see her a few times a week as we have a 3-year-old. And when I see her, she wants to hug me, talk to me, and basically acts like nothing on earth happened. This makes me even more hurt, angry, whatever you want to call it. I guess, since she is the emotional type, I would have expected a tear-filled apology in which she admitted wrongdoing, apologizing for what she did to our son and me. However, she would just get angry whenever I brought the topic up. Do people like this really think they did not cheat? Do some women have a strange way of justifying their actions? Do they just block out what they did? But part of me is almost losing interest in my son. I wish the worst for her. My son lives in a home this guy furnished while we were married. Soon she will be driving a car he bought. Soon he will be living with another man more than he sees me. And by losing interest I mean, as an example, she has him for this Thanksgiving. But for weeks she has been dropping hints that I can have him this entire week. Obviously, she wants to be with her lover. While I miss my son, I also do not want to be me babysitter making her life easier. I also need to work and pay bills. This also all cost me tens of thousands. Someone else paid for her so she has no cares. But when I see her, and I had to for 4 times a week usually, she starts crying. After he divorced class saying she needs me. Or other times she is all happy and friendly like nothing happened. Almost pisses me off more. So how have some of you moved on, and were still a good father? Let go of the hate and lived your own life without so much resentment. My comment just starts hanging out with friends. That's the first step in forgetting about someone. That was what I did. What did you do to forget about your ex? Comment down and see you in tomorrow's lesson.